Hi everyone. So in this video, we will be doing one of our labs. So far, we have completed a couple of labs. From today and onwards, we will be performing a different set of series. And in this lab, you will be performing this activity. So the one is deploy host pool session host by using Azure portal, which is a EntraID stream. Okay. So previously, you could have done it for ADDS. Right now, we will do it for EntraID. And it will not take much time. So the first lab would take near about 30 minutes. Some wait time is there. That is excluding that wait time. It is going to take 30 minutes. And then again, creating a host pool for another 30 minutes. And then you will be implementing this monitoring, okay, for your Azure Virtual Desktop Insights. And after that, you can connect to the session host, and then implement auto scaling. These two tasks you would be, I'm expecting you to do it by yourself. But till here, we will be covering in this lab. And once you complete the first three steps, you can do it by yourself, the other two. It's also a small task only, doesn't take much time. Yeah, so this is the lab we're going to perform in this. But before start doing this lab, we need to set our environment properly, because every one of us, maximum of us are having only 10 vCPU as our quota limit. And that is not going to be sufficient. So that is why we are just stopping the previous lab and we are going to continue with this particular lab. So in such case, what you have to do, you have to delete all the resources which you have already created. It's quite simple. For deleting the resource, so you don't need to even get inside that particular lab. You can use your credentials and log into your Azure portal using your account, laptop itself. You don't need to open that account, lab account. Fine. For deleting any resources, you can go to search for resource group, and you would be having some resource groups here. You can select one by one and click on delete. Copy the resource group name, because we need to paste the name and say delete and confirm delete. You repeat it for all the two other resource groups. If in case you are having multiple more, you can delete all. I'm just going to repeat for all the resource group right now I have. It will delete the VMs, everything, whatever we have created in our continuous practice of our lab. I had some other couple, and I'm deleting even them as well. You may not have these many resource groups. You might have 1, 1, 2, 1 or 2, 2. And if you have any resource groups, you can delete. This network watcher is optional. If you want, you can delete it or you can leave it. So I've given delete for almost all the 4 resource groups. It is getting deleted. I will resume my video once all these resource group gets deleted. Yeah, the resource groups got deleted. So now we have clean slate. You don't need to worry about the users who got created. So we don't need to worry about the users who got created. Anyways, we are not going to use them here. So we will use a completely a new user. We create a new user and we use it. Fine. So this let it be. And if you go and check your virtual machines, by now you might be seeing 0 virtual machine running, and this is expected because we need the 10 CPUs to be completely empty. So we can use the next 10 more vCPUs. Fine. So now let's go and do this particular activity. So now what are we going to do? We are going to again deploying a host pool and then session host. But this time it is not using ADDS. It is going to be EntraID. It doesn't take more than 30 minutes. Fine. So to do this particular lab, we need one user account to be created. So according to this instruction, it is a new instruction. they are creating a lab out of it. So that is the reason we may not have this user in our account. So we need to create a user account with name user1. You can go with any name. I'll go with user1. Let me search for users and let me say new user. I don't know whether user1 is available in my account. I hope it is available. Let's say is user1. Record this username, UPN and password. That is very much important. So for that, what you can do, you can just go and start a notepad. And in here, let me delete the remaining data. I don't need this. Okay, let it be UPN and then password. So this is the password. I will paste it here. And let me say review and create and copy the UPN name and paste it here. So this UPN name and password we might be using in our later part of our lab. Let it be here. Okay, the username got created. If you want, you can check by searching for user1. So user1 got created. Fine. So that's one thing. So this is not exactly what is mentioned in the instruction we are doing, because some user were pre-created, but we don't have it. So we created it now. Next is we need to register desktop virtualization service. So let me copy that. Go open a Cloud Shell. On PowerShell, we have to run this particular command to register desktop virtualization. So this is one way of doing it, just for your knowledge purpose. Maybe going forward, you might be enabling multiple services. You will have to register them if you want to use. So how you can do it using portal, I'm just showing you. We can enable it here itself. Okay, see, for example, I can just paste it and run it. If this desktop virtualization is already registered, this particular service is registered, then you get a registered as output. If it is not registered, then it will be registered. So you get a status called registering and later it gets registered. So this is the way of doing it by using CLI. The same thing we can even do it using portal. This is just for your knowledge purpose. You're not going to do anything. So for that, you go to subscription and select the subscription what you have. And then in here, if you go to settings, under settings, if you go resource provider, you click on resource provider, and then you can search for this desktop virtualization. See here, Microsoft.desktop virtualization is registered. And what we have done in this set command, this is what we were registering. It's already registered. Going forward, if somewhere if you are getting any error stating you are trying to use a service and that is not registered, in such case, what you can do, you can copy that name of the service and you can come here and register it. So if you see here, there are so many services registered and not registered, and only few are registered. So that is expected. So whatever we need, we'll be registering only them. So there are so many unregistered things. If in case if you want to enable or register any service, you can select them and then you can go and click register. So this is just for your knowledge purpose. Let's continue with our lab. So this is done. Next is we need to create virtual network and then necessary subnets. We can go with the same naming convention or it's up to you. If you want to go with a different naming convention, you can go ahead. But if you prefer the same naming convention, you don't have any name conflict going forward. So let's do that now. So I can close this. We can go search for virtual network. In the virtual network, we need to create a new virtual network. Let's create a new virtual network. So the resource group to be this. So I have to create a resource group with this name. Let me copy this, create a new, and paste this resource group name and say. So now a new resource group gets created under this particular subscription. And then the name of the VNet. This is the name of the VNet. Let me copy and paste it. Create all of them in Central India. Make sure that you are creating it in Central India. And then we are going to next in security tab, no modification. In the IP addresses, let me check. The IP addresses, specify the following setting. IP address space to be 1020. So it is 10.0. You make it or modify it to 10.20.00. Fine. Next, we need to edit the subnet. The subnet name must be this. Let me copy, come back here, and I can say edit and paste it and say save. So we have saved this. Now what should we do next? And that's it. So we need to just go and say review and create and create. Review, create, and create. So far we created two resources. One is user account, and then we created a virtual network. We also have enabled that virtual desktop service. So once this is done, then we need to, okay, so not only one user, if we want, we can go for another user also. They are specifying another user. So how to create user is not there here. So that will be there in my video only. I'll walk you through how we can do that. That's okay. So the next thing is we need to create another user. And then the other user is user 2. Let me go and create another user. Let me go for users, new user. Let the user be user 2, and copy this user 2 data as well. So this is okay. Then I can say review and create, copy the UPN and create, come back here and have this data. So now we have user 1 and user 2. User got created. Next, in this particular steps, it is mentioned to go ahead with two groups. One group is AVD DAG and another one group is AVD remote app. I'll tell you how you can create these two groups. And then to these groups, we are going to add this user 1 and user 2 respectively. So we don't have these groups. Even in your account also, you may not have these groups. Let's create these two groups now. So to create a group, I'll go search for group. All these things for the lab 1, we did it in the Active Directory and then we synchronized our Active Directory content. Whereas here, everything we are doing it on cloud itself. Let's go to all group, create a new group. Let it be security group. Group name to be, you can copy paste this group name. This is the group name. And description, if you want, you can give the same description. That's fine. Now we can make this user 1 part of this particular group called AVD tag. So how we can do, we can add members directly here. And the member is user 1. So he is the member and say select. So you have to verify that one member selected or not. And then you can say review create. Great. We have created one group called AVD DAG. So this is for desktop application group. So means this user will be getting access to this DAG and user 2 will be getting access to AVD remote app. But if we want, we can give them for both, like user 1 and user 2, we can give both. That's also fine. So the next thing is we will create another group with this particular name. Come here, new group, security group, group name to be what you have copied there. Description, you can give the same. And then the member, now it is user2 and select and create. Great. So now we have done the prerequisites. Next is we need to deploy a virtual desktop host pool. So it is similar to our Active Directory, but there are some differences. So let's go and do this resource creation. Deploying an Azure Virtual Desktop host pool. So maybe while doing it, do it carefully, like it might help you in your milestone 2 defense also. Okay, for that, let me search for Azure Virtual Desktop. On Azure Virtual Desktop, let me go to create a host pool. And let's put it in which resource group? Okay, resource group to be 21 ERG. Let me copy that, come here, create a new resource group and say okay. And then the host pool name to be this. Then the location to be Central India. No, it's not a validation environment. Preferred is desktop, pooled, breadth-first. Pooled, breadth-first, you can give 2 or 3. Maximum session limit, that's enough. Next, after selecting all these, we will go to session host. You have to click yes, you want to add virtual machine. And then it will be defaulted to the same as host pool. That let it be. Prefix name, let's copy, paste it. So it says sh some random. Okay, we can go and type the same. sh host pool 1, maybe. All these session hosts are created as part of host pool 1. Fine. So we need it from a virtual machine. Azure Virtual Machine itself, Central India, availability zone, no infrastructure redundancy, and trusted launch module, perfect. And then the Windows image to be Windows 11 Enterprise multi-session, which is including Microsoft 365 apps as well. So for that, let's go to images, select all images, go for Windows 11 multi-session. In here, you can go for Windows 11 Enterprise multi-session 23H2 or 22H2, anything is fine. And then make sure that you are selecting D2S V3 as your VM size. So D2S V3 and select. And then the number of VM you can put it 2, because now we can create up to 5 VM. Let's go with 2 VM now. Let's go with 2 VM now. Virtual machine to standard default, all these things are the same. Boot diagnostic to be again the recommended value, yes. Virtual network, so we have to search for our virtual network. So this is the virtual network we have, and then the subnet to be host pool subnet 1. Network security group type basics, public inbound port, no, I don't want any connectivity. Now domain to join, is it Active Directory or EntraID? It is EntraID. So that's it. And then you have to give your username. So the username, let it be student. And the password, give password, capital PA55W.RT1234. So there won't be any confusion for you. You might be using the same password since our AZ-140 lab, right? So you can do the same. And that's it. Next is we can say workspace, no advanced, nothing, review, create and create. So once it gets created, then we will resume. So it will take 20 minutes. So I'll stop the video. I'll create another video for the next activity. So now we have to click on create. It will take 20 minutes. So I'm going to stop this video. We'll meet in next video in the series.